Hey guys, it's Maria Park and welcome to Approach a Nerd for our Arrowverse Wednesday. Sorry I'm a little bit delayed. Quick housekeeping. I am going to do a Loki video. I'm still waiting to see if I'm going to do also a collaboration with Joe's Geek Show. More than likely I will. We will see. But for right now, just so I can have the video out, I will be doing a video review of Loki's episode that I watched this morning. So be on the lookout for that. Also, I am not feeling well today. So if I sound kind of stuffed up and all that stuff, it's because I'm sick. But I wanted to make sure I got our stream done today. So my voice goes out, just kind of go with it. All right. So Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, and Superman and Lois. We have a lot to talk about. So let's start with Legends. So when we last left off, Sarah realized that she may not be human anymore. And this episode pretty much kind of expanded on that, where we see that she isn't human and she actually died with the Zangaron bite, because there's no cure for the bite of these Zangaron alien things. So once it bites you, you only have a little bit of time before you eventually will succumb to death. This reminds me of all the things in Australia that can kill you. So Sarah, basically, the actual Sarah, her body is dead, and Bishop basically took her mind and copied her. So she is essentially like Ava, but with a twist. When she cuts herself or hurts herself in this, and like now, she heals like almost instantaneously. So she has no idea what she is. Is she an alien? Like an alien hybrid? I mean, she has no idea what she is. So yeah, Sarah had a lot to process, and unfortunately not a lot of time to process it. Simultaneously, Mick and Kira, whatever her name was, I think it's Kayla. Yeah, Kayla. They are still on the same planet looking for her with all like the Ava clones, and they're trying to make it to where Sarah is. I don't want to do a full recap of this episode because by now, since it came out on Sunday, I'm assuming you've already seen it. But some major points on the Sarah portion of this episode, and I'll get to the Legends and Ava in a minute. I felt really bad for Kayla's character, even though technically it is all her fault because she is the one that took the bounty and picked up Sarah to begin with. But she actually started liking Mick. And of course he slept with her in the last episode because it's Mick. And so they were like kind of getting a kind of bond, I guess. And it kind of led to her potential demise, potential abandonment, which we may see later on. Honestly, the character of Rory or Mick is leaving the show and is going to do like cameo appearances, I guess, is what they said. And I'm actually wondering if Kayla disappearing is one of the things that he's leaving to do, is to go find her. Because right now, Rory's main focus is finding Sarah and bringing her back, because Sarah literally is the one person that he's connected with. She is OG. And so he desperately wants to find Sarah. That's his friend. And I love that. I love that Rory even says when he finds Sarah in this episode, and she's like, you go. And he's like, I can't. And she's like, I don't know if I can go back with you. She's like, I don't know what I am anymore, who I'll hurt, yada, yada. And he's like, you're Sarah Lance, you're my friend. And I'm like, oh, Rory is doing that. I'm like, what? The character development of Rory in this season. And he's been doing it throughout the season, but this is like the season where we really see Rory as someone who doesn't think that all humanity is trash. Because that's normally what he always says, and that's always what we think when we think of Rory. He thinks humanity is trash. And so, but Sarah kind of has changed that. I think him having a daughter has changed his perspective. So he's definitely come a long way. And I think Mick's one of my favorite characters because of that. But so yeah, they are able to find Sarah, and Sarah unfortunately has to make a choice because Bishop, he's basically decided he's going to upload his body into the cloud, or his consciousness into the cloud, which means he can copy himself anywhere at any time. And so Sarah had to make a choice. With the help of the Ava clones, especially Nurse Ava, she was able to make a human copy with none of the, upgrades or whatever, Bishop did to her, included in them. But it would take, I think, 10 minutes. But they only had like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, I believe it was. Timing is weird in Arrowverse, to actually they were setting these generators up, and they wanted to stop the upload of Bishop, and that upload was going really quickly. So she had to make a choice between her human clone body or human body for her to get, to have, and basically setting the generators off and destroying the lab before Bishop could fully upload himself. And thanks to Mick, Rory, she was able to do that. And the reason I said that this led to Kayla's demise is because they were being attacked by the Zangorons. I mean, they were everywhere. And Kayla turned into her alien self with the tentacles and was like able to like fight some of them off. But there were a lot of them, and she got lost in the scuffle. And unfortunately, Rory and Sarah and, pretty much everyone else got away. And I felt so bad for her because it kind of looked like, Kayla was going to be part of the crew. I don't know why. I just felt like having this alien chick would be kind of cool. But yeah, she's lost. And I think Mick really is. I mean, he did not want to leave her behind. He didn't. And I kind of felt bad. I mean, I just felt really, really bad that that's what happened. And especially since she came back for them. Like she had the ship, she took off and she came back for them. And her coming back and helping them fight is what led to her potentially either being killed or left behind. And I just thought that was really messed up. So I was like, bye, Mick and Kayla, or Mayla, or Michaela, or whatever we're calling this ship. That was very short-lived. But yeah, unless he goes back to find her, I don't know if we'll ever see Kayla again. I also thought it was interesting that when Sarah was talking to the Ava clones and they were like, she's like, are you sure you're going to be okay? She's like, we're literally a bunch of chefs, soldiers, and scientists. I'm like, we'll be fine. Like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, I thought that was really, really funny. But yeah, so that was this portion. And the second portion is we're dealing with the legends who still think that Sarah is dead. Ava is not getting out of bed. She's watching the video where Sarah's talking to David Bowie about proposing to her over and over and over again. None of them can get through to her. So they decide they're going to go on a mission. So they go back to the club the night before Sarah gets taken by Kayla. And it was actually Bayrod's actual plan. And of course, the legends figure out what he's doing and they go follow him. And so everybody's going there to try to undo it. And John's even thinking that if it's undone, he might get his powers back because it'll change the future. And no matter what they try, no matter what they do, it doesn't matter. They can't get Sarah to propose to Ava because she's scared. And she even tells Spooner that, she likes the person she is now, but she can't guarantee that she'll always be that person. So, and I guess that's kind of very foreboding if you think about it, because she said that, she's scared of change and hurting people. And then she's going to be a clone. And now she's scared of change even more and hurting people because she is someone else now. But to be fair, Sarah's superpower is surviving death. That girl has died a lot. She was presumed to be dead in Arrow, and she actually was a League of Assassins. Then she actually did die and was brought back in the lava pit. She's gone through all of these changes anyway. She was made blind and had powers. She was one of the Paragons in Crisis. She's gone through so much that I kind of feel like this is just another stepping stone. It's weird. I feel like this is just another thing for Sarah to say, hey, I survived this. Yes, as a clone who obviously cannot be harmed now, but I survived this. So I'm really curious to see what other upgrades she has as this clone, because she can't be hurt. She's completely invincible. So I'm excited. I am excited for this. If she has a superpower, it's literally surviving death. That's pretty much how I feel about that. But yeah, no matter what the legends do, they cannot get Sarah to propose to Ava. They cannot distract her. Bayrod even goes so far as to running outside to get her to stop to talk to him. But because she stops, she's in the exact position that Kayla needs to grab her faster and quicker. So Bayrod actually got her kidnapped faster. So, abducted faster. So, and I love when Ava, past Ava, saw them and said, I know you're doing something. You're messing up the timeline. I'm going to get drunk and pretend that this did not happen. I did not see this. And you guys need to go home. And future Nick even came back and said, stop. And the whole thing was just funny to me. All of it was funny. And I love it took Astra saying, some things aren't meant to be changed, which is so true to her because, she got dragged to hell and their mother died. So, the one thing I love about Legends, even though it's goofy, a lot of them go through very traumatic crap, things that are life altering. So it's not that they're making light of it, but it seems like the way these characters deal with trauma is literally through humor and being on crack. So I like this show. It doesn't stop the seriousness from happening. It's how they cope that is really interesting. So yeah, and then of course we get to the funniest part of this episode and the loveliest part, and that is we finally got our proposal scene. And Ava was absolutely dorky and absolutely adorable. And she kept saying, "Yeah, will you?" Yes. And she's like, "I didn't even ask." Like I didn't get through the whole thing yet. And I thought that was hilarious. And then the Sarah kept going. She's like, "Now can I say yes?" She's like, "No, not yet." And then she finally gets to the point where Ava can say yes. And Ava's like just sitting there staring. And then Sarah's like, "Yeah, you can say it now." She's like, "Yes." And then the fireworks went off. That was effing hilarious. It was so sweet and so cute. And I think that's probably the best Arrowverse proposal I have ever seen, which is, I can say that because we also saw another one technically in Superman and Lois, which we'll talk about in a bit. But very, very cute. So they're engaged, but they don't know yet. They have no idea that our girl Sarah is not technically the human version of Sarah. She is a clone. It's still Sarah. It is her consciousness. She has the memories. She's Sarah. She's just something else. So I am very curious to see how that plays out. I'm excited, actually. I think it's gonna be very cool, and I cannot wait to the next episode. I love when the preview, they know that she gets hurt and she either doesn't get hurt or she deflects it or she heals really quickly. And I think Nikki was like, "Oh, you can, your skin's impenetrable too," or something like that. And she's like, "Yeah." And they do like high five each other. I'm like, yeah, that's how they deal with it. It's through crack humor. That's why I love Legends. That's why I love Legends. So yeah, that was Legends in a nutshell. So I'm gonna take a minute to go over and see what you guys are saying for that, and then we'll move on to The Flash. Finally, a CW show stream I can watch in the UK. You're welcome, Ryan. I'm not trying to withhold the goodness from you, I promise. A lot of people said they didn't like The Flash 714, but I thought it was quite good. Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a second. Hello, Mercenary. How many episodes of Legends this season? That is a really good question. I don't know. I have to look that up in a second. I'm not sure. Because I want to say there's 16, but don't quote me on that. There could be more. There could be more. I'm not. Let me see. That's a good question. Season 6. How many episodes? There's going to be 15 episodes this season. So, yeah. So not many left this season, unfortunately. Looks like I made it in time. Hi, Kevin. Yes, Maria, wear that. Hi, Ray. Suri and Kevin, hello, fandom. Where's Nicholas? I don't know where Nicholas is. He's probably working. Javisa Leslie said she was going back to Vancouver in a week to start filming Batwoman season 3. I assume Legends will start filming season 7 then as well. I think because their release dates are so different, maybe not. Because remember, we were in the middle of Batwoman when Legends premiered. So it's such a wonky thing. Because I know that last month, I think, is when Katie Lotz, Sarah's actor, said that they just finished season 6. So I don't think they're going back that fast because I think they spend like 6 months out of a year, which is insane in Vancouver. And she's back in LA on Instagram. So I feel like they're not, I don't think they film them that close together. So I think that mid-season for Batwoman will probably be when Legends starts filming. And then then when it starts airing mid-season, when they get to mid-season as well, when Legends will like literally come out. Because before we had Batwoman and then we had Charmed, and now we have Legends and then Batwoman. So there's, they swap. They do this. It's just crazy. Whoever schedules this stuff, I would not want their job. Sarah is dead. She's RIP. Now we have a clone like Ava. Pretty much. I mean, her human body's dead. Her consciousness, what makes her Sarah, technically is still in this clone. Also, I'm confused. Wasn't the death proof last season because of being a paragon? Sarah's death proof in general, but no, I don't think she was death proof. I think she just was able to foresee things but I don't think she got that from being a paragon. I thought she got that from Charlie's sisters because they did something to her and then she lost her sight, but she was able to see everything. Like she had psychic ability. Also, I busted out laughing when she said she dies every year. I mean, it's true. This is like every freaking year this happens. That would be like in Power Rangers when they're just walking down the street and there's like some kind of beast in there. Like, we got to form the Megazord, and they're like, every damn day. Like, can John get his powers back? I hate this storyline, and this is when I lost fandom for Cisco with the death of Vibe, and I blamed that girlfriend who is Yoko Ono of the team since she is the catalyst for him leaving. So I don't blame Camille for this because I'm sure the actress who plays Camilla, I'm pretty certain she wanted to keep that job. But because her character is tied in with Cisco and the actor himself was tired of doing the show, basically, which is exhausting living in Vancouver half your year and having 16-hour film days, probably 6 days a week. It's a lot. And he's been doing it since the pilot episode. So he's an OG. So I get that he was exhausted, but because he left, that means the girl playing his girlfriend had to go too. So I feel bad for her, actually. Just like Sue would have been in the same position because of what happened with, Hartley's actor. But because, they had a way of writing her into the story, she's able to be in it a lot more. They can't necessarily do that with Camilla. So Camilla's just out of a job, and I feel really bad for her. As for him getting his powers back, it's Constantine. Of course he's gonna get his powers back. Absolutely. Also, watching Ava back her thing up was hilarious. I know. She was drunk as hell too. That was funny. Best and funniest proposal ever. I agree. Something else. Well, Sarah is from Arrow. True. She is OG. She was technically, as far as I'm concerned, she was the very first Black Canary before she became White Canary. I'm super cool with this side adventure of the Flash. I wish they could have been done. It could have been done with Team Flash more so, but this was dope, and I'm glad to see this power up. Yeah, we're definitely gonna get to that in a second. They're both out on October 13th. Okay. It was a flagship DC character who's going to be in comics in DC history. I would keep my paycheck too. Let get it, Ryan. She is going to be canon from now on. David Ramsey will be playing another character in the next episode. Yeah, he's going to be in Superman and Lois, I think, in the next episode, too. He's working, man. The people who write for Sarah and Ava need to help out on Charmed and a lot of other shows. You are absolutely right. Maria, not the WandaVision philosophical mind. She had duplicate memories like a computer uploaded into new identical computer, but it's the same exact model, same computer. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's a direct copy because look at Bishop. Bishop, when he copied himself in his new clone body, he was an a-hole in all of them. He was the exact arrogant prick in every one of them. So I feel like everything from Sarah's brain got scanned into the new bodies. And so everything is, pretty much memory-wise, and the essence of Sarah is the same. She still is in love with Ava. It's the same. I just think that she's got a lot more going on now. I mean, we'll know more when the season progresses. Charm writers need to be fired. Yeah, I am in my feelings about that show. If they do a Mecha John, I'm down with Flash to sub his powers, but maybe we can finally get Tekna in Mel form. Oh, Lord. And Superman and Lois are on break again until July 13th. Yes, like I said, the CW Arrowverse scheduling is horrendous. Now, I try to give them a little slack. I cut them slack because I know COVID hit them hard. So they may not have been able to film enough episodes to continuously show them. Because right now they play out like how Power Rangers gets aired on Nickelodeon. It's like in blocks and it's just really weird. So yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. All right. So let's move on. Now we're going to move on to the Flash. The highlight of this episode in The Flash for me was Allegra and Chester P, or as she likes to refer to him as Chuck. So I guess I'm going to call Chester P Chuck right now, are going to do a D&D together. They're so adorkable. They really are adorkable. They're a dorky couple. Which is interesting because at the beginning of the episode, she didn't seem really interested in playing D&D, but now she's like, hey, because she wants some of that Chuck love. She's willing to roll the dice now. Did you get what I did there? So the episode starts off in a very interesting way. And I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to literally say the same thing I'm saying in this episode that I'm going to say in Superman and Lois. So Barry basically tells the team, which right now consists of Killer Frost, Allegra, and Chuck, that him and Iris are going to this island off the Indian Ocean to have some reconnection time at Chuck's advice, which he has a flashback of them, like basically him finding them after they did it downstairs in the archives, basically at Star Labs. And he said he wishes he didn't see that again. And he did make a point saying, please don't bring this to work. Keep your baby making plans in your house. So they decide they're going off the grid, which is interesting because I've never really thought about the fact that Barry Allen felt confident enough to leave Central City to go do his wife when they could just do it at home. Like, that's what your house is for. You don't have anybody that lives with you. Why do you have to go all the way to the Indian Ocean where you have no cell phone service, no way of contacting anybody to get it on with your wife? I don't have to do that. I'm just saying, I have a bedroom. So I'm very confused on that part, but I guess for plot purposes, they needed to have them out of the way. And I will say it was also very interesting for me that Iris was not in this episode at all. Like at all. I don't know why. Like not even for a 5-second cameo saying we're out. That was really weird. So yeah, so Flash is gone. Iris is gone. And that means that they are all on their own except for Sue. Sue comes there, basically drops in again. But we see her a little bit later, and we'll get to that in a second. But initially, it's just Allegra, Chuck, and Killer Frost. And then Killer Frost says, oh, I have to run a personal errand, so I'll be off the grid too. So then she's gone. And whenever the bigger powered mega humans leave, like the big guns of your team, that's when all the crap happens. That's just what happens. And I knew that as soon as they were leaving, I'm like, yeah, something's going to happen because you're leaving the kids alone. It's like leaving the kids at home. So Allegra gets an alert on her phone that basically Ultraviolet, her cousin, is back in Central City. And she'd already been using the citizens, I guess, tracking database, whatever, to try and like sources to try and track her down. So she was able to track her down. And so she's like, I'm going to save my cousin because that's what Barry Allen would do. And I'm like, now, okay. I did not hate this episode because Barry was gone. I mean, I'll be real with you guys. I'm being real right now. I didn't hate the episode because Barry was not in it. So I don't have any like issues with these specific characters. I don't even mind Killer Frost. I prefer her over Caitlin because Caitlin bores the living hell out of me. I'm sorry. She just does. She bores me like watching paint dry. So I had no problem with this. But it's like whenever they bring up the Paragon method of Care Bearism, it just bothers me to no end because there is always a gray area. And like in this show, love conquers all. But for some reason, that can't happen in any other show in the Arrowverse. Could you see Barry in Black Lightning going up to Tobias and saying, I know that you don't really want to do this. I know that deep down there's a good man. And I know that that good man just needs a hug. Anyway, so they basically Allegra decides she's going to find her cousin. And while she's talking to Chuck about it at Jitters, her cousin shows up and blasts everybody. And of course, Chester gets hurt. His hand gets hurt initially. And then later on, when they make contact with her and Sue, who also knows Ultraviolet because she's worked in Black Hole with her before on missions, who Sue is like literally that voice of reason in the show that's like, you can't trust her because she cray, even though she can't be realistic in this show because she doesn't realize that she is, a Care Bear. She's in Care Bear Land / Star Sapphire audition. People are trying up to be a Star Sapphire. So in this series, Sue can't be who she needs to be, which is the person with critical thinking skills. So you were in the wrong series is what I'm saying to you, Sue. But she literally at every turn tried to tell Allegra, Your cousin does not care. Your cousin will melt off your face. Your cousin will kill you. Your cousin has done really bad stuff. And to be fair, yes, she has been through a lot of crap. This doctor, tied her down, cut her open while she was away. I mean, it took her voice out. Was horrible. Horrible. He's a horrible, despicable human being. He's like every comic book mad scientist we have ever seen, and he just needed to go. So I have no problem with that. I have no problem with him getting his butt handed to him. But it's just like Sue was actually dropping a lot of sense, because let's be real, Chuck, he likes Allegra a lot, because he was bringing snacks in while, Ultraviolet and her were training, and he got blasted again. And Caitlin even said, if you had stood like literally 1 foot to the right, you would have had a hole right through your chest. And then he broke his arm, and they're still like, go get your cousin. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is it. This is the Flash. And like I said, I'm not a person who does not think that people don't deserve second chances. I'm not saying that. It's to a level that drives me crazy in this show. It just drives me effing insane in this show. It's like, yes, you can try to save people, but you also should try and save your fellow team members from death. Anyway, long story short, there are 3 plots going on. 2 of them are only a millisecond. They don't really have a lot to them. We have Joe still trying to figure out what's going on with Kramer, finding some evidence on, the mission she ran where her team members got killed, which she referenced with Killer Frost, that they got killed or ambushed by metahumans, or metahumans took them out, or blah, blah, blah. But it was an ambush. It was something that, traumatized her, which is why she dislikes metahumans. But Joe finds this file, and he's talking to Cecile, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, use your heart, because he could have gone straight to the governor or to Singh, and he doesn't. He goes right to Kramer, and she literally blows up in his office on him. She's like, you're using this to try to blackmail me. If you do this crap again, I'll have your butt arrested. And I'm like, wow. And she was like, get the hell out of my office. And I'm like, okay. I said, Joe was nice. He's nice. I'm like, because I know how we are. Look, I know how we are. I know what happens when you yell at us. I'm like, I know what happens. So he had to wheel that in. He's like, okay, for plot purposes, I will not snatch a knot in her. So he grabbed the file, he walked out, and he told Cecile about, her blowing up and blah, blah, blah. But then she's like, she was like, I want to meet. Can we meet like later? And then Cecile's like, your heart, and your heart is your compass, and do what you want to do, follow your heart. And I'm like, the Care Bear method. I'm like, it keeps happening. It's happening with everybody. And just so you know, the reason I make fun of this so much, prior to Crisis on Infinite Poop, this was not something that happened in The Flash. Yes, they would encourage Barry to follow his feelings and blah, blah, blah. But we didn't have these long, drawn-out speeches where he's trying to convince people to see the light of the Care Bear way. So this is all post-Crisis. That's what I'm pointing this out because it's funny to me. But anyway, long story short, Kramer pretty much talks about, her connection to her former, there's another soldier that she was very close to, and he warned her not to go on the mission, and she's trying to find this guy, Adam. And, of course, Joe's like, I'm glad you shared this with me. Maybe you can take this back and then share it with somebody in the future that you trust. And she's like, why do you think I called you here? And so she wants Joe to help her find Adam. So that is a thing that's going to happen, and that's going to be Joe's storyline, because he needs to do something. He's not a cop anymore. He's not the chief of police anymore. He needs to do something. So, our captain, should I say, captain of police. So he needs to do something to fill his time, because obviously him and Cecile don't like spending time with their baby. Like, Jenna's just gone. Jenna's gone. She's probably still at the aunt's house or hanging out at Singh's house. I mean, Singh seems to be doing something in his promoted life, and he's taking care of somebody else's child with his husband. So I think that's really sweet that this man has a full job and he has time to take care of, your child while he still lives his life with his husband where they have no kids. This is what I like about The Flash. It's a team effort, even when it doesn't need to be. Now I will say what I loved about this episode also is that Allegra got her power up. It was pretty cool too. she literally, like, her eyes were turning white, like her whole body had like the whole white flare on it. She kind of looked like Captain Marvel for a minute. It was really weird. But like, and the scene where Sue, like, they're going to find Ultraviolet because Allegra wants to talk her down, of course, and they track her down using the yin yang tattoo and the light that Allegra and her cousin share. You know, of course, Chuck comes up with a way of tracking using the tattoo. They get to the warehouse. He uses this EMP to like make all the weapons charge and shock the guards, but he doesn't have enough juice for the remaining guards. And Sue sweeps in there like freaking Black Widow. I'm like, if they really wanted to recast Black Widow, they could dye her hair red. You know, forget Yelena, just bring Natasha back as somebody else. Maybe she is reborn as another person. That girl has literally straight up Natasha Romanoff freaking, you know, vibes to me. So she, to me, would be a kick-ass Black Widow. And she came in there flipping, taking the cords around, and then just zapped them all. And she's like, bye, our night-night, boys. And I'm like, that is why I love Sue's character. I'm glad they kept her. She is literally wasted. And I really wish that they would put her on other shows as a main character or a main team member, because I think that she would be absolutely excellent, even in a spinoff show or Black Hole or with her own show. I would be down with that. I would watch a show about Sue. I would. I'm just going to be real with you. And she's still sticking around. So I am happy about that. And then like with Allegra's power up against, you know, her cousin, Ultraviolet, that was cool too. It's interesting because now I know that Ultraviolet's going to be sticking around because she was able to defeat her cousin and the doctor's going to jail. It was really quick, basically. And then of course she got the files from the doctor on and gave them to Caitlin, and Caitlin thinks she can cure her. Now, when she says cure her, I don't know if she's saying I could cure you by giving you your voice back, or I can cure you by not making you a meta. I don't know which that is, but yeah, now we're going to have more Ultraviolet on Team Flash. Which was interesting because when Barry came back at the end of the episode, right before the little cute, or right after that little cute D&D flirting moment with Allegra and Chuck, he's like, well, what happened here? And they're like, nothing. None of them thought to tell him that, oh, by the way, Ultraviolet's in medbay. I'm like, he's going to figure it out. I mean, and then on top of that, why is it that and I've said this a million times, guys, why is it when people need help in the Arrowverse and their team is losing members, or they like the boat's going down, none of them pick up the phone and call anyone? Like, is Kara at this point still in the Phantom Zone? Is Black Lightning still in retirement, or is he still going through the stuff with Tobias? What is the timeline here? Because why is no one calling other members of this established Justice League since Crisis for effing help? Why are they not calling? Call Martian Manhunter. Call somebody. I don't understand why they don't say, hey, we need some help in Central City. Because you know what? They sure as hell do that in the comic book. So I'm just very curious why the Arrowverse is that special. I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah. And the last thing that I want to talk about is, because I told you we had the 3 plots already. Barry and Iris getting it on, Joe dealing with Kramer, and of course everything with Allegra and her cousin. But I also, like, near the end of the episode, we finally saw what Killer Frost's personal errand is, and that's of course she was going after Chilblain, who escaped apparently from, you know, prison again, except he didn't. He was pardoned because he made a deal. And so now Killer Frost is going to have her Chilblain boyfriend. And I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, because why wouldn't it? The Flash is probably the most notorious for taking villains and anti-villains and making them into good guys. So it's a thing. It is a thing. And that is what is going to happen. And yeah. So let's talk about the Flash, because I know everybody likes to say, hey, what the Flash? Because the Flash is, it's a thing. It is a thing. So let me see. Trying to scroll. And if my voice, again, if you weren't here at the beginning of my stream, I am very congested and I am not feeling that great. So if my voice kind of phases out or fizzles out, then I apologize. Okay, I'm going to start here because I know this isn't anything to do. Okay, come on, Tyler B. Superman and got our work. 3 fillers in a row. There's a lot of fillers. Barry should have been in this episode. He was. He was in there to talk about the fact that he was getting it on with his wife, and apparently they just can't go to their own house and turn the phones off and do it for free. They have to go all the way to another island with no cell phone service or anything at all. It's some people really hate this ep, but I thought it was all right. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was a filler up. It was a side story. Allegra better play that D&D to get that Chester D. Yep. She looked excited by the end. In the beginning, she was like, save me, keep me with you, Killer Frost. I'll go with you. Let me help you do your errand. And then by the end, she's like, hey, I can play D&D with you. I'm like, oh, okay. I really like Sue this episode and last one. I like Sue's character in general. That's going to be some pretty meta genius babies. Yeah. What happened to the team? There used to be a lot of alternate members in the past. Good question. Like I said, since Crisis, I don't know what's happening anymore. This Arrowverse has just gone to hell. I mean, it was already kind of iffy at times, but like it's just gone. I don't know what's happening. Kramer exploding at Joe. Yes, that whole thing. I mean, you look at Joe's face. He's like, oh, is this man screaming at me? Like he had that look on his face. Oh, no. If I was a chick, my earrings were coming off. Oh, I would have loved for her to do that to Cecile. I would have loved to see the reaction. That would have been very interesting. She would have got something she didn't realize. I thought poor Chess must have been so relieved. No more catching his booze in a delicate position. He had that look on his face. He's like, thank God they leaving. But again, why do you have to go all the way to an island in the Indian Ocean? You have a house, a whole penthouse where you are the only two occupants. I don't understand. It's weird. Kevin, I enjoyed this episode. It's good to showcase the support and help Allegra level up her meta powers and no Care Bear speeches. And that look Iris gives every up. No. They still kind of had Care Bear stuff. It just wasn't as strong because it wasn't coming out of Barry's mouth. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Coincidence that Candace Patton isn't in Danielle Panabaker's. Well, and that's the thing. Caitlin always has more screen time than Iris. Everyone always complains that Iris gets so much screen time. I'm like, you guys really need to look at Danielle Panabaker. Not only does she get screen time, she's also they let her direct too. She directs episodes. So I mean, I don't understand, especially since she's not the leading lady of the show. But you would never know that because she's not just one character, she's two characters. She's in it all the time, like literally. Like with Crisis, I will never forget my reaction to Crisis on Infinite Earth when Barry finally everything got back to normal. You would think that he would be with his wife, who literally died in Crisis, and at the end of the episode, he's sitting there watching the news with Caitlin in Star Labs, and you don't even see Iris. And I'm like, wow, instead of going home to your wife, you're hanging out with Caitlin at Star Labs. I mean, it just looks stupid. So it's a thing. It is a thing. And like I said, I'm not one of these West Allen, Snowberry. I don't do this stuff. It's too stupid for me. But I see the point that Caitlin is very much involved in everything, even when it makes zero sense. So yeah, I don't get it. When the heroes leave, the villains will play. Yep. Directional episode. Barry has been sidelining the show so far. So what's the difference now? Well, Godspeed's in the next one. I saw the trailer. So, I mean, he better get his crap together by the next episode. There we go. Finally, Godspeed will be in the next episode. Yep. I mean, I was worried about it. We saw like a little smidget of him before in season 5, but we didn't really see a lot. And I mean, I was wondering what happened with that. Some characters can be redeemed, but it's all about how you execute it. True. Like I said, this is never me saying you can't find redemption. It's just how they go about it is interesting. It's just very interesting to me. Only 4 episodes for the second villain. Yep. They'll probably carry it over to season, 8? Probably. Maybe. I mean, Legends, this mess works, but on other shows, nope. Legends is, like I said, I don't even consider Legends to be the Arrowverse. I'm going to be real with you. I don't. I mean, I know they're in it, but I don't consider them to be part of the Arrowverse. So Allegra acting like she got the Bat computer, or Watchtower Team Arrow computer, or Team Flash computer. No, she has Iris blog resources. She's not even TMZ resourced out. Hey, look, The streets give you some stuff, man. She got stuff off the streets. That's better than Google and TMZ. Chester just keeps getting hurt. I mean, every episode, he literally is the Jacob Kane of this series. Sue was acting, speaking sense. So, of course, she had to be proven wrong. Yep. I mean, she was really dropping the sense. She's like, I have seen this woman melt off somebody's face and laugh. And they're like, but she can be saved. We're family. And she's like, okay. You know, luckily in this is the show where that stuff works out. It doesn't work out in other places. It just doesn't. I like Sue. She's so dope. She is the outer Sailor Scout. She's like Pluto or Neptune to me. I could see her. I literally do see her as a Pluto-ish type character in a way. I do see that. I mean, it's a good reference. Sue is such a good character, and the actress is really good. Yep. I mean, I'm telling you, can you not see her in the MCU as Black Widow? I mean, I'm just being real. I mean, if they had cast her over Scarlett Johansson, I would not have hated it. I'm just being real with that. Baby, what baby? Yeah, we never had a baby. I don't like any of these meta bigots. I mean, can we have more, I don't know, balanced meta check balance person like an Amanda Waller type or even Lex with 33.1 on Smallville? Yeah, no, because then we wouldn't be mad about it. We have to have these antagonists, and it's just what it is. We need to have the most extremists out there because they represent the extremists in the real world. You know this. Come on, Ray. Okay, so now balance a 33.1 project. When people who are police are taken off the case, that's when they do the most work. You know what? You're not lying. It's always the retired ones that find everything, all the evidence. Allegra leveling up made me think of Halo from Young Justice Outside. Yes, I could see that. I could see Halo. Yeah. I don't know. The way her eyes went kind of did remind me a little bit of Captain Marvel, though. A lot of action this episode, which I liked. What about an ISIS Foundation? They better not retcon this. I want a different. I didn't even think about the ISIS Foundation. Huh. I mean, it's a thing. No, Caleb, I have not talked about Superman and Lois yet. I was just confused how Lois was able to give birth to Hafker. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Also, since Allegra and Cecile have both leveled up power-wise, something big must be about to go down. Probably. I mean, we know Bart's coming, so probably. Who remembers Kevin from Charmed? I do, but that's because he's only one of two trans reps on the show. But like other transgender characters, they just seem to go by the wayside, unfortunately. It's absolutely stupid. We're bringing transgender character to our show. Where is he? Oh, he was on episode one of them back then. I'm like, that's a couple. He had a few lines. Don't complain. They only call it back up for the crossovers. Why? I mean, even when they were trying to get Jen's particles back together, they at least called Star Labs to ask for the device to get her particles. Why do you not call people? I don't. I feel like Superman and Lois are trying to avoid mentioning Supergirl. Yeah, we're gonna get into that too. Wasn't he the black male with the technomancer powers? Who are you talking about? Clearly Barry. Oh, you're talking about Halo? Clearly Barry and Iris are exhibition. I mean, they probably just didn't think anybody was going to come down there. Like, why was Chester down there in the first place? They're like, he probably don't even know about this room. What I don't get is, why didn't they go to the room that had Gideon, the Gideon computer, the original one that Thawne used to use? Why not go in there and steal it and just do it in that room? Why do you got to go downstairs in the archives? I don't understand. Because really nobody has any business going in that secret room. Go in the room and do it. My favorite Flash season is the non-speedster villain seasons. I get that. None of this team would take Halo. Yeah, nobody could take Halo. I feel like Kevin from Charmed is going to be a running gag, sadly. Could you imagine being super happy about that role and you get under like 24 lines the whole season? Yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing. All right. It is time now for us to talk about Superman and Lois because that episode was batshit crazy. So it was good, though. So let me get my water of truth because I feel my voice going out. Keep it real on this channel, guys. Whew. All right. Superman and Lois. Now, I like this episode. I have liked mostly every one of these episodes in this season. Superman and Lois is not disappointing me. I have questions a lot of the times, but they don't disappoint me. So basically, we got to see Clark, his basically origin story from him taking his red crystal and throwing it in the snow in the Arctic and basically getting the Fortress of Solitude, training with Jor-El, learning how to fly. All of this awesomeness that we've seen in Man of Steel and in every, like the original Christopher Reeve movies, like everything, every origin story, him being trained by daddy in the Arctic. And then his daddy kicking him out of the fortress. It's like he got kicked out of the house. It's like, all right, son, I thought all you need to know, get the hell out. Like, go into the world. Find why you are going to be their champion. And I love when they're like, I sent you to Earth to be their champion. No, you didn't, daddy. You sent me to Earth because the planet was blowing up and you thought this was a suitable planet for me to breathe. Like, that's why I came to Earth. Well, all of a sudden I got this mission. That's literally my question every time in Superman. But, that's fine. That's just Maria's personal since her comic book loving days, which I still have. I've always asked this question to myself, but I actually was sent to Earth to live because my planet was blowing up. Nobody told me I had to have a job. That's crap. So I want to live my own life. You're going to tell me to be a hero. Like, it's literally the conversation I have with myself. But so he goes, first he goes back home to Smallville to see his mother. And they made her look a lot like what's her face? Is it Diane Keaton? What is her name? Who plays Martha Kent in Man of Steel, DCEU? She looks like DCEU Martha Kent. She really does. They had the hair. She looks like her. To be fair, the house looks like the same location as Man of Steel, so I guess it's fine. But so he goes and he sees, his mom, and she's like, "Did you find what you're looking for?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Pretty much, I know my mission," and blah, blah, blah. And before he leaves, and she makes him a suit saying something in the center of the chest was missing, which we know is a House of L insignia. Basically, he goes and visits, or he goes to see Lana. And right as he's going to see Lana, you see Kyle come up and she's got the engagement ring. And so that's how they broke up. But to be fair, he did kind of leave her for 5 years. So probably a little bit more than that, actually. So, I mean, what did you think was going to happen? I'm like, so she lived her life and she moved on. But he went back home and, of course, him and his mom had that moment. And she's like, you've been gone a long time. Things have changed. And, but I've always been curious of why there was an S on the chest before they realized the House of L insignia. Like, what made her do that? Like, this is S for son. You're my son. This is an S for son. So yeah, but the actual suit looks very much like Golden Age. If you look at the comics where he was only able to leap in black and white, that is the suit that I remember seeing back in the day. That is the suit that's very close to the George Reeves suit too, back in the 40s. It might have been Carl. I think Carl was before George Reeves. The OG television series Superman, where he would fly and the background would just go by him like that. I actually enjoyed the series a lot, but it was silly. But yeah, I think where Noelle Neal was Lois Lane. So definitely like that. Now our Metropolis portion, I was really digging it because quite frankly, he was channeling his inner Christopher Reeves. He had his Christopher Reeve Clark Kent down perfectly. He was really nerdy. He was really dorky. People ignored him. And actually, he was believably ignored. Because with Christopher Reeve and Brandon Routh, they are very tall, buff, intimidating guys. So, like, when you look at them and they're like, "Oh, well, Mr. Riley, you mind if I just take your dry cleaning? I'll do anything you say." It's like, why is this, WWE wrestler acting like this? He literally can beat everybody's butt in here. You want me to believe you're mousy, but then you have Tyler's version, Hoechling's version of Clark, and it's not that he's small, he's just a little shorter, and he's still kind of buff, but he does something when he's Clark where it's like he's scrunching himself into this really like kind of like not really conspicuous type character. It's like he's standing in the back. You don't even realize he's in the room. He talks very low, like, oh, I remember I had this teacher who she was really good in math. Her name was Lois. And it's like, are you still talking, really? So I did love that about him. So he had the Clark Kent nerdy dorkiness, completely, invisible personality down pat. Him and Lois working together. I will say Lois accepted him a lot faster than she did in the comics than she did in any other version, because she was always threatened by new talent. And, I thought that was really interesting. And I would have loved to seen how they eventually decided to go out, because we did see them flirt, and like the whole scene where they were sitting there looking at the board. And they were working out the case about the Nazi symbols and stuff. And Lois was like, oh, you have a hot date and all that. He's like, no, I'm going home to watch reruns and have like chicken nuggets. And she's like, she's like, why don't you try and get your own beat? I'll talk to Perry. He's like, I like working here. And she's like, oh, because of the work or because of the company. And she was literally flirting with him. And he was like, good night, Lois. She's like, good night. And then like, they didn't really make a date or anything. And then the next thing you know, after she meets Superman and he saves her, they start talking. She's talking to her friend, Jane, I think her name was. And she's like, I'm completely in love with, someone. And of course, Clark at work. So they're already dating at that point. So it's like they jump from that to they've been in a relationship for a while. Then they go to Smallville. Then there's like the whole thing where he reveals who he is, and then they fly up in the clouds after, he asked her to marry him, which I said that was another proposal that Superman and Lois had. Not as cute as Ava and Sarah, but still cute. I mean, they got to fly up in the sky and stuff. They did the same thing on Lois and Clark. So Superman and Lois kind of took that, I guess. But yeah, I love the flashback scenes. Now, I have questions, and somebody already asked one of the questions initially. I think that was Caleb. When they got pregnant, first of all, I've always wondered how they had sex to begin with without having kryptonite involved. But I mean, whatever. They were on their honeymoon. Somehow, I guess his super seed did not blow out the back of her bum. I've always questioned this. But we knew from watching Crisis and from watching elsewhere, actually Crisis, I think at the beginning, that they had to literally go to Carib's mother's planet of Kryptonians because the sun was different. They didn't have any powers for Lois to successfully give birth to Jonathan, to have one baby. So how in the hell did she give birth to twins in a hospital on Earth? Somebody needs to tell me this, because that was an F up. That's a plot hole. I am not believing it. I am not suspending my disbelief for an effing second. I know people are going to be like, well, Jordan didn't develop his powers until now. No, I don't care. No, I don't care. I'm not suspending that disbelief. I'm not, because then the same thing should have been said for the baby she gave birth to before, during Crisis. So I'm just not suspending it. Not suspending now disbelief on that. Lois should literally have been dead. She should have died giving birth. So I don't understand that. But again, this is what happens. And another thing. So all of these visions or flashbacks that are real are being distorted because basically they have a Kryptonian version of a Vulcan mind meld. They have these little antenna, these little like devices that look like little tiaras that allow Kryptonians to share memories or read your memories and I guess go into your memories. And we learned that Morgan Edge's father, who was an a-hole, we learned was Laura's first husband, also gave him a crystal, and he went to the desert and threw it in the ground and made his own version of the fortress. And I'm like, okay, you got a fortress, he's got a fortress. Well, in Morgan's fortress, and I'm calling him Morgan because I don't feel like saying his Kryptonian name. His daddy's like, I'm going to teach you to be the best. And by best, I mean, I'm going to torture the hell out of you. And you're going to learn to overcome pain. I'm like, oh, we are still doing Flashpoint. Cool. So we still have some Flashpoint stuff going on. And then, of course, we also have Injustice mixed with it. They're pulling from universes and genres. But so because he was reading Kal-El, Superman's mind, he now knows that he's married to Lois, that he's Clark Kent and that he has twin boys named Jonathan and Jordan. He knows his whole effing family. And I don't know what is her name? Where Leslie is. I don't know where Leslie is right now because they were together. So that's also something I want to know about. But Morgan uses this information to threaten him into joining him, or he's going to go take out his kids. He literally threatened his children and basically his wife too. But he's like, I'll just take your kids out. So he goes to the farm. And I felt bad because in this episode, Jordan, this is very short and sweet. Sarah and Jordan decided that they were going to be official. And Jordan's like, I'm sorry I had to hide these things from you. And he's really talking about the DOD and like what's happened to the Kryptonian DNA, and the ex-Kryptonite. Not that I am a whole freaking half Kryptonian. I haven't told you that part yet, but you don't need to know all that. But they decided they're going to be a couple. So Jordan just got a girlfriend, and then Morgan came down and threatened to kill them. And I will say this, I got to give both Jordan and Lois credit. Even though I love Jonathan, Jonathan was kind of holding his own too, but Lois has no powers. And she was standing in front of her sons and she's like, you're going to leave my sons alone, even though he could have blasted at like literally heat ray right through her head. And Jordan literally tried to take him on with heat ray vision, even though he has no control over his powers yet. So he manned up. Jordan manned up in this episode. I was proud of him. He did. He didn't have to. He could have been like shrinking like a little bee, but he did man up. I thought this would have triggered Jonathan's powers. I don't know why. I literally thought, okay, if there was a moment when you needed to get your Kryptonian on and channel that side, this is it, because you're about to die. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. What ended up saving them was Clark basically surrendering to Morgan Edge. And then basically going back to his version of the fortress and being tortured by its pain and being turned. And so his eyes started glowing red, just like Steele's version of his Earth. And he's essentially becoming the Superman of his Earth. And what got me, guys, in this episode, Lois walks in the house. Her sons go upstairs. She picks up the phone and she calls Steele and she said, it's happening. I need your help. Why? And I'm going to say it again. Why didn't say, hey, Kara, remember how you had to beat your cousin's butt in Elseworlds? Can you come do it again? I mean, why did she not do that? Why did she do that? Why did she not do? What happened? Why? You were in crisis. You have crisis memories. Why didn't you call Martian Manhunter? Why didn't you call Black Lightning? Why didn't you call your freaking husband's cousin who has the same power? Although let's be clear, has already established to be able to whoop his A, because she has in her series. I mean, I don't understand why she didn't make that call. Instead, she called Steele. She literally called Steele. And I know people will be like, well, Kara was trapped in the Phantom. She don't know that. She don't know what's happening in these people's lives because, again, they don't talk to each other. So, I mean, she could have been like, hey, your cousin just turned evil. I think he's coming to kill us. We need your help. Kara would have been like, I'm on my way, and I'm going to bring some people with me. And then that would have been it. And Kara would have whooped Morgan's butt, and she would have whooped her cousin's butt and been like, do I have to keep spanking you, Kal-El? I'm like, I mean, guys, I'm in my feelings. I'm telling you, this is why I'm telling you that Arrowverse has this nasty habit of having characters not want to live. Because if in reality, if I was one of the members of the Arrowverse, I'd be having people on speed dial. I wouldn't dial a number. I push 1 and bam. So how fast can you get here? I'm like, we are about to die. What, the clock says 10 minutes? I'm calling the Flash. What? There's an asteroid coming towards Earth? Superman or Supergirl. I'm calling people. I am not going to rely on my own skill sets and my own team to save things because I can't. I mean, I can't. Lois did not call Kara, and I think that is the weirdest thing about this entire episode to me. It is weird that wasn't even a thought to call Supergirl to take down Superman because he is messing up. Come and spank my man's butt, please. He has lost his mind. And where was the DOD? I thought they were living on her front lawn. I mean, we know they don't go in the back, but I mean, why weren't they on the front lawn? Where were they? Guys. So the only other thing that happened in this episode, besides Jordan getting Sarah as a girlfriend, is Lana and Kyle have to deal with each other now. The fallout. They have to deal with all the crap that went down. And they were struggling before. We need to see how this will affect their marriage and how this is going to affect Kyle in the long run, because he's an alcoholic. So, you know, somebody that tastes power like that, even though it's bad and then they lose it, they're going to go back to feeling useless and inadequate. So then what does this mean? So, I mean, I think that's going to play into the series too. So that's just my personal opinion, but yeah, that's the only other thing about this episode. But again, great episode. I loved we got exposition on how he met Lois, how he became Superman, like why him and Lana weren't a thing. All of that is great. We got to see the fortress. We got to see both fortresses. We got to see a little bit of Morgan Edge's teenage backstory for like a millisecond. And so like all of that is cool. It's just those questions. Lois should not have been able to have 2 babies on Earth. I'm sorry, I'm calling BS on that. And then she also should have called Kara the effing moment that he turned and flew off. She should have been on speed dial. Kara, your cousin just surrendered himself to an evil Kryptonian from Krypton. How about this? How about you roll over to your mama's planet and grab yourself 20 or 30 Kryptonians? Because obviously he thinks that there aren't any Kryptonians on this Earth, and he doesn't realize that there's an entire planet full of Kryptonians out in the ethos. Go grab some of them, come to Earth, and whoop all of their butts. Spank Clark and send him home. I don't get it. I don't get it. So, all right, here we go. I hope they don't mess up Bart Allen. I hope not either. Oops, not the time vault. Walt is so getting in the series of the future because both the Legends and Team Flash have him, are they? Gideon just seems to be overall universal. I love Superman and Lois 111. It was very good. Truth, justice, but not the American way. I did like that in the interview. That's one of the best darn origin stories I've seen in a long time for a villain, that Killmonger and Thanos. This version of Clark is just so wholesome. So technically, is Kara and Morgan Edge cousins? Yeah, technically. Another reason they need to call, because technically, I don't know if she'd be older than him. They'd probably either be around the same age or he'd be a little bit older than her. But it doesn't matter. Kara will have cousins, I think. Yeah, I guess it just really depends too. Are they cousins? No, they wouldn't be cousins, not blood related, because I think they're cousins on the dad's side. Isn't her dad and Clark's dad or Kal-El's dad brothers? So if the fathers are brothers, they don't have the same, basically Morgan Edge and Clark don't have the same dad. So they're only related on their mother's side. So no relation to Kara whatsoever. It would just be through Laura and her side of the family. I feel like they have given Jordan and Jonathan less screen time. Yeah, because they're doing Injustice. Had a lot of fun in this episode. They were great. Yep. The actress from us is Diane Lane. So it was Diane Lane. Okay. Yeah, I said it. I didn't realize I said it right. I'm proud of myself. Wasn't the S warped in like the blanket, wrapped in like the blanket or whatever he was sent with his birth parent? It was in Lois and Clark. It was in some versions of the comics too, like the Golden Age comics. It was. And it's just interesting. It's very, very interesting how the full symbol played out. But like I said, it's different. Like the way the suits are made, it's normally the first draft's always made by his mom. But it's interesting the way they do it. Like I remember in Lois and Clark, they went through like 37 outfit changes before they came up with that one. So I don't know. It was funny. I'm loving the Desert Fortress of Solitude. Yes, get it. I was wondering how to pull that off and no one noticed on land. And this off topic, but have you seen the movie version of Supergirl's suit? It's interesting to say the least. I have like I said, guys, until I see something, I try not to talk badly about something. I always give movies a chance. I always give series at least 3 episodes. So until I see it, I can't make a judgment on it. But I mean, there is always going to be a shock value when you initially see something and be like, wait, what are they doing? So, but it could play out to be really well. It could be really good. Because I remember when Superman and Lois came out and they announced it, they're like, oh no, another crappy Arrowverse show. And it turned out to be really good. So never judge till you see it. Someone better call Supergirl her cousin and was brainwashed. Seems like she should be involved in this since she is stronger than Superman. And the Writers can confirm that's how it all ended up confirming it. I mean, we saw her beat his butt. You don't need to confirm it. She beat him. She was like, sit your butt down. Do Jonathan and Jordan even know about Kara? If they don't know about Kara, then the family has a lot of communication issues. Why in the heck would they not know about her? I mean, they should know about Kara, not that she's Supergirl. But at this point, they should ask this question. That's really weird. This is our first POC Superman, technically, because Tyler is part Native American. No one really talks about it, though. Yeah, he is. I knew he was part Native back when he was on Teen Wolf. I used to love him on Teen Wolf. Sue was hot channeling her inner Black Widow. I was like, damn, girl, I'm telling you, Sue was on it. I'm confused. Do Supergirl and Superman share the Fortress of Solitude? That's the only answer I can give you right there. Because you know what? I don't freaking know. Because quite frankly, she was going to the fortress, I thought, before their Earths were merged. So either she has her own Fortress of Solitude, or they now have the same Fortress of Solitude, or there are now 2 Fortresses of Solitude. Maybe even in the same vicinity, maybe next door to each other. Because again, after Crisis, everybody was on the same Prime Earth except for Stargirl. And well, I think Stargirl really is the only one that would not be considered outside of the DCEU shows. So yeah. So you have asked a very good question. I have no answer for. I just know that she had the fortress before. And so I'm assuming each kid that survives Krypton is gifted with their own fortress in a crystal. I don't know. We need a timeline. We absolutely do. Terry Hatcher is my favorite Lois. Smallville. Yes, I said it. I said it. I will say she was a campier Lois. It depends on which Lois you're going for. If you're looking for that sarcastic, Smallville, you are not going to talk crap to me type Lois. I still love Eric Durant only because Tom Welling pulled off that dry, I have no sense of humor, I have a stick in my butt Clark perfectly. Now you're talking about Lois and Clark. I love Lois and Clark. I'm not a big fan of Dean Cain in real life. I don't really like stuff that he believes in, especially in terms of stuff to do with my marriage. But as the character, I separate the actor from the character. And as the character, he wasn't bad. And technically, he was the first POC Superman because he was half Asian in real life. Pretty sure 1/4 or 1/2 or whatever. But he was part Asian. It's why he was the only Superman to be cast that had brown eyes and not blue. So yeah. But yeah, I did like Terry Hatcher. And don't forget in Smallville, Terry Hatcher ended up being Lois Lane's mother. Remember, she did that video, right? Because her character got sick, and she did a video to send to Lois when she was dying, when Lois was a little girl. So yeah, I love the flashback scenes. I did too. Honestly, just pretend that this show takes place in the alternate universe. It makes it easier. They covered that in Smallville. It was part of Clark's training, like muscle control with his powers and his dad. I started questioning the montage format, but once they revealed the mindscape, it made sense. Yeah, they were just jumping all over the place. I knew something was wrong because the first time Lois and Superman kind of met, he was looking off in the distance and he saw like a blink, like kind of like a skitter of an outline of somebody there. And then she started talking to him and distracted him. So he was seeing stuff anyway. So I knew it was a matter of time before he realized, because we saw he was passed out at the end of the episode. So I knew all that stuff. I even said it in the last review. I said, this is probably all in his mind. Is all types of confused how Lois didn't explode when going into labor. Me and you both. I've been in labor. I know what it's like to have a human baby. So I'm not even trying to have half Kryptonian kids. How did Clark have twins before Barry? Very simple. Because him and Iris don't have sex unless they go to an island in Indonesia or they're downstairs in the archives, apparently. They can't do it at their house. They don't have sex at home. I don't know what they do at their house. Yeah, people laugh at me. I'm being serious. The reason he went to Argo before is so that baby can be born with powers. Well, that's what I assumed anyway. But no, because every Kryptonian on Argo, they don't have powers. That's what made it safe for them to be there. Like when he went, they were basically essentially like humans on that planet. It's not until they come to Earth's atmosphere under the yellow sun that they get abilities. So technically, I figured they went there so Lois can safely give birth to their child. As a matter of fact, they got pregnant on that planet. I could have sworn they took a vacation there to see, to go, spend time on Argos. And then she ended up getting knocked up there. And then they came back and they decided to move there for them to have the baby. They were leaving to go and they were quitting their jobs. And then Crisis happened and then all that got retconned. So I am confused. I am very confused. You're killing me with this explosion, Big O's. I'm sorry. They didn't have powers until late, so they actually described the other baby might have it. It's his powers at the beginning. You saw what happened to Bella on Twilight, that backbreaker scene. First of all, I did not see what happened to Bella in Twilight because I think I've established many a time, but I could never get past the fact that these people were not vampires. They were zombies and they use a lot of Crayola glitter in the sun. I can't handle that emotionally. And that girl blinked too damn much for me to watch those movies. That you can't do it. What is this? After this 2-week break. Did I miss something, Ryan? I probably did. I'm sorry. Also, the babies in this reality were born before Argo was discovered. Oh, hold up. How is that possible? Because they're on the same prime Earth as Supergirl. They are all on the same Earth. They were all sitting at their little makeshift Justice League table. So how is Argo not discovered if Kara even told her dad that her mother is still alive? So that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry. That cannot be true. So it is called a plot hole in writing. This is what it is. This is what the Arrowverse does. It writes plot holes. And they just expect you to just accept it. And that's what it is. I'm not going to buy that Argo is not discovered yet. Because there's no reason Kara would have that conversation with her dad when they were in the Phantom Zone if Argo was not discovered. And so, I mean, the only way I will buy this is if they have not met Kara, if we haven't had the Elseworld crossovers yet. But that's also impossible because they've already name dropped Crisis in Superman and Lois. So that's not possible. House of L Super Crystals next on Netflix. Why not? It sounds like a Sailor Moon Superman crossover. Break. There will still have to be another 2-week break because the finale is on August 17th. Ugh. Are you kidding me right now? Okay. I hope that we see Clark finding Kara from his perspective. Why not? It would be cool. I want Kara to be there. I don't know why she wouldn't. I really need her to be there. Reminded me of Captain Marvel. Allegra reminded me of Captain Marvel when she got her power up in Flash. Wait, so Morgan had a sand fortress like Rain from Supergirl. Yep. That was not lost on me either. I forgot to mention it in the review, but that was not lost on me either. Maybe it is Rain's fortress because that's how they can reuse sets. Save money. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad for the filler episode of The Flash if we got 21 episodes, but we got 18 instead, which is annoying enough as it is. But this episode wasn't too bad. I don't think it's as bad as people were thinking. And I nitpick everything. So, I would have literally nitpicked the hell out of that if I thought it was a really bad episode. It wasn't bad. For me, honestly, it was one of the more enjoyable ones because I didn't have to listen to Barry do another long drawn out speech. I need Barry to have more going on than being the paragon of love. He has more going on to him than that and making decisions that don't ever work out. I need him to, like, even when he was explaining about what him and Iris were doing, it was like, really? Just say you're going to have sex with your wife. We are all adults in this room. And guess what? They probably don't even care. You literally could have just said, me and Iris need a vacation. So we're going to be off the grid. If anybody needs me, you can't reach me. So work it out and then be gone. We didn't need all that. We just didn't need all that. It's weird. Desert, the tundra. Why couldn't they just choose a nice meadow of flowers? Well, I know Morgan Edge wasn't going to find him a nice meadow of flowers, but yeah, I can see your point. Why didn't Kal-El just throw it in a pasture of flowers and then have why not a nice mountain, like the whole little Fortress Mountain of Flowertude or something? I don't know. If they were in the 60s, that would have been a thing. Hi, Paul. How are you? Are you excited Stargirl will be back on the air soon with some of the show's breaks? Yes, I am. I'm super excited for Stargirl. I think Clark is just pretending going undercover. Basically, similar situations happen in other shows. That is it's a possibility. It is. I don't like it that his eyes glowed red. That bothers me, but it is what it is. Yay, Jordan using his powers. He stepped it up. I was very proud. I thought Jordan's powers would activate. I thought Jonathan's powers would have been like, you hit my brother? You're trying to kill my mom? Kryptonian mode on. But nope. Where was the DOD? Exactly. Where the hell was the DOD? Especially since they know that the main antagonist got away. They know that Morgan Edge just got away. Why would you leave your daughter and your grandchildren defenseless on the farm? I mean, you already messed up in the last episode and only put the people in the front so there's nobody guarding the back. So Superman can just fly out the back because nobody's watching. So you already messed up and did that. Why did you take every little guard that has any hope of being able to hold Morgan Edge off with their nice little kryptonite guns away? Why? And I kind of feel bad that Jonathan couldn't get to the barn because he stole a lot of Steele's tech. So he's got all his guns in the barn. So it's a thing, guys. I would have chosen a rainforest to throw the crystal in if I could choose where to throw it. Rainforest would have been nice too. But then you'd always be in danger of people cutting and burning it down, unfortunately. Eek, sleeping with an alien. Nobody's seen Prometheus or saw a Ripley Scoop movie. I mean, alien STDs. Oh, Lord Ray. I don't know what I'm going to do with you. Why is she not phoning Kara? That is the universal question of this entire episode. Why no call Kara? That should be on a coffee cup. Kara is stronger than Superman. She is. Kara could probably beat Morgan Edge also. Lois could have phoned her in for that too. Yeah, literally. She could have phoned Kara the moment they realized what was happening with all the Kryptonians. And she would have been like, hey, Martian Manhunter, you and Magan want to go for a ride? Like, got something to do. Like, Martian Manhunter could literally be there to handle all the Kryptonian hybrids. And then Kara just would have taken Leslie by her ankle and beat the hell out of Morgan with Leslie Lar. That literally would have been it. And then, Superman would be like, hey, you want to do something? Like, want to handle a situation? I got this. I don't have to be back to National City until 5. I don't know why I don't call Kara. It's stupid. Maybe Lois called other people off screen. No. You'll know because Diggle, I think, is in the next episode when they come back. So I'm pretty sure Diggle is in that one. And then he's going to be in Legends. We've already seen him in Batwoman. So he's doing the rounds. I don't know what Diggle's going to do in Smallville, but yeah, whatever. Hi, Chastin. How are you? Let's see here. Todd Helbing came out and said he hasn't mentioned Supergirl is to avoid spoilers. They'll mention it when they mention it, I guess. I I want them, and I'm not saying Kevin Feige is like the god of bringing everything, together and, being inclusive with all the shows. I want them to sit down with Kevin Feige and show them the outline of the Arrowverse. And I want him to say, you guys are effing up. You guys had the absolute perfect vehicle to merge all of these timelines and all of these stories into one Earth, and you do it. And it's like they're on their own Earths anyway. It's like, it literally, if we didn't know they were all on the same Earth because of Crisis, we would still think that they were on multiple Earths. That is how this feels to me. Like, we get very little connectivity between any of these people. Yes, we had Sarah go to, Star City. Apparently Cisco's in Star City, which we'll never see. Cisco apparently went to Atlantis. We didn't even realize Atlantis was a thing because we never had a conversation about Aquaman, which opens the door to a lot of other questions. How many Justice Leaguers are actually established at this point? We have no idea. Jefferson, literally, Freeland was falling and he didn't call anybody for help except that one time they needed a device from Star Labs to get Jennifer's particles back together. That is literally the only time they ever reached out for help. The Flash never reaches out for help. Cisco went on his little magical adventure in Atlantis, but they don't reach out to anybody. They don't call. Like, the Flash and Supergirl have done more than one crossover, and they don't talk to each other. They're on the same damn Earth, and he doesn't pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Car, are you busy? I may need your help in Central City." They don't do it. And I mean, I understand that crossovers can be expensive, but half the time, some of these shows, they're all filming in Vancouver. They have similar, sometimes the same sets. It is not hard to pop somebody in when you're in the same city and multiple, probably very close sound stages. So I don't understand it at all. It's really weird to me. I understand COVID basically messed a lot of stuff up, but I can't always blame this on COVID because this stuff was happening prior to COVID. So I don't know. The network execs and writers make it seem like they wait for the network image only. They make it seem like it's just too much trouble. I don't know. I thought Lois was calling her dad before she addressed John. Yeah, I thought that was like a good way to bring him back into the story. But like, she's like, yeah, all that stuff I told you about my Superman not being bad, and you just need to go and find yourself spiritually. I lied. It's happening. Come over here and kill him. But then he's gonna come over there and try to kill him, and she's like, no, don't kill him. He's my husband. I swear to God, if they do that, I don't know. I might leap out the window. I'm tired. Kyle and Lana need major therapy. Yes, they do. They do. If Kara is the older cousin, why doesn't she remember Clark's brother? Because family doesn't tell everything about family. That might have been on the hush hush. The House of L, why would the House of L talk about that family? It's kind of like Harry's imaginary family in Charmed. Not even imaginary. He has a whole other family that nobody talks about. Like, it never happened. Like, we see it once when Abby, ironically, was mind melding with him for his memories, to search his memories to try and find where Jimmy would have taken a kidnapped Macy. And we find his wife talking about his family. She's like, I've always known you were unfaithful, but another family, Harry, another family. And I'm like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what happened in Superman and Lois. It was like, what other family? Gone. Just like that plot point. That plot point is never going to come up again in Charmed. This never happened. So yeah, it's a thing. And I stand by that, guys, because, if you think about Charmed, and I don't mean to just throw it out there, but when Harry was trying to get his mortality and he needed to get a soul from a relative and his son died, and then, of course, you have like the grandson that's still alive, he had another option because he has a whole other family. Like, he could have been like, let's see how many grandchildren I have on this side. It's like he don't give a damn about his other kid. So you know what? It is what it is. It's crazy because when Lois did pick up the phone, I honestly thought that they were about to bring Kara and Superman and Lois, but no, she called baby daddy from another Earth. The baby daddy. Yeah. So why did Kara never get a fortress of her own? I mean, I swear she did have her fortress. I could have sworn, but I don't know. She might have referenced that I'll have to go back when they first started using the fortress to see if she said this was my cousin's and now I used to use it. Because I remember her going to the fortress in hers. I have to go look at that. It's been a minute, guys. I mean, if Star Labs or the SAM, the DoD had access to red kryptonite, then in theory we could start exposure. She could give birth. Yeah, I mean, there are ways they could have done it. They just didn't do it. It's weird. Morgan Edge's actor said he may not be the true villain of this season. None of them are. There are no villains in the Arrowverse. No, Kara and Clark are paternal cousins. Yeah, they're cousins on their dad's side because their dads are brothers. And then Morgan Edge would just be the half brother of Clark because they have the same mama, which is a trope we see a lot. They're both House of L. Yep. I feel like Jor-El would have wanted to know his brother's alive. That's not Jor-El. That's not Jor-El's brother. I'm confused. I'm very confused. Yeah, I'm confused. You'll have to expand that on me, Madness. Jor-El. If you're talking about Morgan Edge's brother, Tarlock, he should not be Jor-El's brother. He is the other man of Jor-El's wife, the first husband of Jor-El's wife that she left for Jor-El. Don't forget Sophie. She definitely needs therapy after dealing with her family life. Don't we all? I think, what am I talking about? I had therapy today. I think Morgan is stronger since its fortress is in the desert. So you stay in the cold makes Superman weaker. That's interesting. Kara knows about Jonathan. I don't know if she knows about Jordan. Yeah, I don't know what Kara knows because again, let's be clear. Crisis rewrote some things for some people and nothing for others. There has not been one change in Black Lightning up until the time that series ended. They literally went from Crisis, where all the worlds were destroyed, right back to exactly where they were with the ASA and the Morkovians. There was no break. There was nothing. It was literally a mention. Oh, by the way, Gamby, Crisis happened. Cool. So where we at? And that's literally what happened with Black Lightning. Legends of Tomorrow had the only change in Legends, honestly, that I've noticed is Sarah's attitude. How she came back, how she missed Oliver, and how she was like in her feelings about it. But timeline wise, I mean, it's hard to mess up Legends anyway. They could really be messing up their own timeline. So there really wasn't a lot of effect on them. Supergirl, yes, Lex became important and regarded and revered. And so that was a shift. The Flash, not really. I mean, not really. And Superman and Lois had probably the biggest change because their one kid became twins, and like all that, like everything about their story, their origin, how they met, everything about their lives was retconned. Even the farm was retconned because remember when they first introduced Lois and Clark in Elseworlds, I believe it was in Elseworlds, they had the Smallville's farm set. They were on that farm. And now they're on the Man of Steel farm. So, I mean, that was everything about Superman and Lois was retcon. It's really interesting. I don't know why Crisis picked and choose like that, but they're all on Prime Earth. So it is what it is. And as for Batwoman, not a lot changed there either. I mean, everything that happened with Kate Kane, that was completely separate. So there were really no changes because of Crisis, except for Beth. When the second Beth showed up from another Earth, that was literally the only change they had in Batwoman. So Crisis literally to me has become an Arrowverse plot hole and excuse to write something. And if it doesn't work out, to just retcon it because of Crisis. That's literally how I feel. The fortress is Clark's. He lets her use it. You get a fortress. You get a fortress. I would love for them to like, everybody gets a fortress. Even if Superman and Lois has a better budget, the structure of the fortress would be the same. Before Clark went to Argo, he said, Kara, I'm giving you the fortress. So Crisis probably just made it hers. But I thought, so that's where it's weird. I mean, I really want to say in season 2 that she was going to the fortress anyway. I could have sworn she started going to the fortress in season 2. I don't know. Like I said, that I don't And Dean Cain is Alex and Kara's dad. Funny how life works out. Yeah, and Erica Durance is Kara's mother because she basically took over the role as Kara's mother. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. When is your Loki episode 3 review? I'm making the video, and then I was waiting for Joe. Like I said, we're on 2 different time zones. So if he doesn't get back to me tonight, you're either going to have a video, which is 7:02. You're either going to have a video tonight, or you're going to have a collaboration with the 2 of us in the morning, because it has to be like my night and his morning are like 12 to 13 hours apart. So it's very weird. So we're trying to line up our timelines is what I'm saying. We're on opposite Earths. We have to do a crossover. So he should have been Shang-Chi instead of current guy. So you think that would be controversial? Do you think biologics versus looks should be a determining factor? You already know my feelings about that, because again, as somebody who is mixed and who is proud of being mixed, loves their blackness, but loves their Scottish and Native American sides, and recently learned about their Bengali and Asian heritage too. I mean, all these things make up who I am, and without them, I wouldn't be here. So like, I get really in my feelings when they take a biracial character and they make it monoracial and they act like it's no big deal. It's like, it's not important. To me, it's the same thing as whitewashing, because you cannot get upset. To me, please do not get upset about, a biracial character being cast in a role that you think is inappropriate, like Charmed having 2 actresses that are biracial playing half Latina women, and they have no Latina heritage at all. People give that a pass. It's not cultural appropriation whatsoever. They have no problem with that. But then when it comes to a role they could actually play, like with Shang-Chi, where he is half European and half Chinese, you're like, well, your mother was white. That's cool. But we don't care. Your dad was Chinese, so you're Chinese. It is almost like the 1-drop rule in China. It's really weird. And they made a whole biracial character fully monoracial and Chinese. So yeah, I get in my feelings, and it bothers me. And it's always, to me, it always is going to be an issue. And being cast as something based on how you look, and it's not your culture, has been happening forever. Do you know how many Native Americans are played by Hispanics? And probably vice versa. I mean, it's just a thing. It is just a thing. I don't know why. And don't get me started. Even with monoracial, my spouse is Korean, gets called Chinese everywhere we go. And when you look at characters like Jimmy Woo, he's played by a Korean actor, and he's supposed to be Chinese. I mean, they just don't care. It's all, if they think you look a certain way, it doesn't matter if you're not Korean, you're not Chinese, you don't speak Chinese, you were raised Korean. It doesn't matter. You are now Chinese in this role. So yeah, that's a very loaded question for me, Ray. Very, very loaded question for me. As for Dean Cain himself, I mean, with Superman, to me, I don't look at him as a race, because he's a whole ass alien. I'm like, that was the whole thing with Starfire. Like, everyone's like, oh my God, they cast a black woman. But to be fair, Starfire was orange. She wasn't white. She was not Caucasian. She wasn't Asian. She wasn't Hispanic. She wasn't black. She wasn't anything. These were human forms. That woman was whole butt orange. So it doesn't matter what actress plays her, as long as she's a damn alien. So it's a thing. I mean, Kara blew the cannon, but out. She's getting powers from the moon now. Kara's getting powers from the moon. Cool. So like Sailor Moon. Does she have like a transformation? That would be really neat. The whole thing reminded me of Captain Marvel. Yeah, I had a lot of Captain Marvel things going on. Timey-wimey, I'm telling you, that got that Doctor Who logic. No, I remember Lois getting pregnant on Earth and then moving to Argo last minute. Maybe I'm wrong. No, remember they had that conversation when Kara went to visit them at the farm with Barry and Oliver, and they said that they went to Argo and they got to see Argo. That is where Lois got knocked up. I will find it. I will see. Because, I mean, I could be wrong, but I could have sworn they had that conversation. And the reason that they decided to move permanently to Argo is because it was safer for Lois to have the baby. So I remember this. And that's why I thought it was really interesting that post-crisis, it's not a concern anymore. And I'm like, she's having 2 babies now. Why is it not the same concern? It doesn't make sense. There was no reason for Clark and Lois to move full-time to Argo with their child. if it was not safe for her to have the baby on Earth. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, it's weird. Heroes don't have sex. Also, DC a week later, Flash has sex. Oh, yeah, I remember the Green Arrow controversy and the Batman controversy with Catwoman. Don't get me started with that. That is hilarious. If Clark doesn't yank Kara send off into the Legion of superheroes, I'm going to be upset. He better send her off or say something like on jail you, and he better find out she was with Brainiac Descent. I need this. I don't know if that's going to happen. A descendant. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. The Arrowverse does its own thing. I don't know. People make these bonds and connections, and then they just act like they don't have them. It's like even with Iris and Cisco in The Flash. She was in that series with him since the pilot, and she wasn't even at his going away party. I mean, it's just weird. It's all weird to me. Argo was discovered in season 4. John and Jordan were born decades before it was discovered. That's what I meant. I'm still confused. I'm sorry. I don't understand this timeline. Because if they're on Prime Earth, that means their timeline's the same. So Kara talking about Argo, and I understand that they're teenagers, but I thought it would have been established that Argo was a thing when she got pregnant. All right. I get what you're saying. I'm getting because of their age, them being teenagers, that, with Supergirl's timeline being maybe only they known about it for like 3 or 4 years, that it shouldn't be a thing. But then that also makes me question Lois's age in comparison to Kara and them. And like all of this stuff is being weird in my brain right now, because I know in real life, I am older than the actress that plays Lois, and I'm almost 45. She has 2 kids in high school. And for me, I think she's only in her early 30s. So I'm really confused on the age, because I kind of feel like Kara is 30. So I'm like, I don't understand the timeline. I don't understand it. That's where I'm at. I don't understand the timeline of these characters. Somebody just needs to explain Crisis to me, because Crisis made no sense. The timeline makes no sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. Sorry, it came out wrong. It's fine. I get what you're saying. I mean, and you're making a valid point. My problem is always going to be, and I always say this, and I know I sound like a broken record, the writing is not consistent. So it just bothers me. And so I don't know where anybody is in their journey. Cause I feel like, so Superman and Lois have 2 twin teenage boys, which means their time with Crisis, when they knew the Flash and Iris, who have no kids. And at that point, they only had 1 baby. They don't have any recollection of this, but then they remember Crisis and all the stuff that Lex did in Crisis. So how can you remember what happened with Lex in Crisis and not remember that you had a baby, 1 solo baby, and Argo and all of this other stuff? How can you have an entire new timeline and then remember the Crisis timeline? I really need somebody to explain Crisis to me, because Martian Manhunter literally flew around to all the Paragons and everybody involved in Crisis and gave them their memories back. So I don't understand. It is frustrating as hell for me, guys. Oh, it's so stupid. Bethany Brown has teased she is in season 4 of Charm. This worries me about Abby Mel. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I wonder if this is what happened to the other Superman. Was he turned as well? Probably. Maybe there's a Morgan Edge on every world. I want Clark to pull a Homelander with testing Jonathan for his powers in that roof scene. 30 by that. Yeah, that would be a mess. Let's see here. Clearly, this world has no DEO. Yep. The showrunner said she doesn't mention Supergirl to avoid spoilers. Which I get. They don't want people to know how it's going to end. I get that. Like how in Flash season 5, when Nora turned evil after running through the negative speed force, but it was all just an act and she came back around at the end. Like how in the Flash season 5, I like that one. But Nora was a conundrum to me. So they don't call Team Supergirl, which is way more OP than any other Arrowverse squad, to face a Kryptonian threat and a Brainiac and Luthor on deck. Exactly. It doesn't make sense. This is the one time calling them in would have made sense. The Bethany Brand thing being on Charm, they said the same thing for the Tracy Brand character being a series regular in season 4, but she was mentioned at most, so it's highly improbable in my opinion. You never know, though. If Morgan was Kryptonian the whole time, then does that mean that the Morgan on Supergirl was Kryptonian? I mean, at this point, who knows? I don't even understand. I don't even know if this is the same Morgan because Crisis merged, and so it merged all the Earths. I don't know. He's not Diggle on Legends. He's playing someone else. Maybe he'll be Jon Stewart. No. I'm just along for the ride. I'm not mad. It's probably because of COVID. If you were there, would have been more connectivity, probably. Possibly. I feel like this is a time when even the Morgan Edge on Supergirl doesn't exist anymore, or he was killed by the Kryptonians who later took his name. That's probable. The last time anyone asked for help was Flash, Arrow, and Firestorm. Yeah, I mean, that's true. And then, of course, when Jeff called Star Labs to send over the particle, I can't remember the name of that particle. I'm going to call it the particle, grabber to get all of Jen's particles out in space. People would know it's a different guy, though. Technically, Kara and Morgan aren't cousins because Kara and Clark are paternal cousins with each other. Morgan and Cal have the same mother, but different fathers. Yep, but Kara is definitely older than Edge. I think because she doesn't look it because she was trapped in the Phantom Zone and you don't age in there, so that makes sense. So when Macy and Harry count their kids, will they count Harry's kids too? I mean, technically her kids will be the younger magical siblings. I mean, this is what I talk about not being transparent in relationships. If you don't tell your future spouse that you have a whole family that you fathered and created with a woman who was not your first wife because you cheated on said wife. My mama told me once a cheater, always a cheater. I want to believe that by the darkness being made into a dark light and taken out of Harry made him lose that part of himself. But I just got to put it out there, guys, that is shady. That is shady. The fact that he has not told, Macy about this whole other family that he created while cheating on his wife and his other family. And that it's never mentioned again. Whenever Harry does these like moral conversations with people or being very judgmental with characters like Abigail, I always want Abigail to say, I was in your head and I know what you used to do. So if I were you, I would sit down because you haven't even told the Charm ones that you fathered an entire other child or children. And you don't even care about them to even go see them. In the first season of Charm, he went back to see Carter, but he never even talked about this other family. So I'm just putting it out there that is crazy. So yeah, I am that person. I will nitpick. I can't help it because somebody's got to do it. Everybody else just kind of accepts things as it are or make excuses for it. I'm like, I'm not doing that. If a character is flawed, they're flawed. There's nothing wrong with it, but own your stuff. Accountability, man. Maybe the Kryptonian killed the human Edge when he was like 18 to 25, back when Edge probably didn't have as much traction. I mean, he got the name from somewhere. So yeah, that's possible. Does Kara's dad not know about Morgan Edge? I don't know what Kara's dad knows about. They have the memories of 2 timelines, which makes no sense again. Like, it just makes no damn sense. Like I said, Crisis was just wrong. It was wrong to do it when they did it. I mean, I'm sorry. I just did not like Crisis. It was not well executed, and it just left a lot of open plot holes that CW and Arrowverse are trying to desperately fix, and they are not doing a good job at it. So 14 viewing, only 9 likes. Get them thumbs up, y'all. Thanks. Thank you, Chastin. She did, but it was still Clark's at the time. Okay. I can subscribe to that because I mean I could see her saying, "Well, my cousin's not you." I don't know why he's not using it right now, but it almost felt like Superman was in retirement when her show was on, and then when he got his own show, he's been active apparently the entire time. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening, guys. There are a lot of British actors playing Black American roles, and that's been a big thing. Yep. I know Get Out, Harriet Tubman, there's a lot of controversy over that. A lot of actors in Hollywood are in their feelings about that too. Also, Starfire's features were based off Naomi Campbell, a black woman. Yep. That be true. You haven't watched Supergirl with the poisoning and needing the moon to recharge. I have not, actually. I told you I've been all over the place with Supergirl. It was one of the times when I was just like that in the Flash. I just kind of stopped watching for a while. The scroll scene when they were picking at her memories. You're probably right. It doesn't make sense. It's the CW. Even in DC, Flash is extremely hypersexual. Heck, there was a running joke saying how he was with the hot girl, saying that's why you can't get a date. Yeah, I remember that. It's time. I like that. Timeline madness. That's what it is. It's gonna be our new one. CW, Timeline Madness. Sounds like a really interesting WWE match. At the time the kids were born, they hadn't been aware of Argos at the time since it took place 13 years before Argo was discovered by Kara. Never mind, you mentioned it. I did mention it, yeah. But it's just, to me, it's just weird. Lois and Clark's ages now are weird to me. I need to know how old Clark and Lois are in comparison now with Kara. Because right now, they look like they're in their 30s. And Kara is supposed to be in her 30s. So how is Kara 30 and her cousin's in their 30s? And then they have these kids that are like in high school. Like, I don't know how this works, but when my daughter gets older, I get older. So I'm very confused. I am really confused on the timeline of all of these characters. Everything is weird to me. It's just weird to me. And this is why, as much as I love shows like Doctor Who and I love movies like Back to the Future, when you deal with timelines and alternate realities, sometimes that stuff gets on my damn nerves because the rules aren't the same and everybody does what the heck they want. And then you deal with Crisis, where it takes multiple timelines and merges them all together in this very messy pot. I feel like the Phantom Zone timelines were better as the multiverse than Crisis did in the regular Earths. So yeah, the Phantom Zone had a better structure for how they deal with their parallel universes. It's really weird. It is very, very weird. The thing about Batman not going to town is especially weird because hello, Wonder and Batwoman. Yeah. It was another life. So Harry probably thought the past is the past and he wants to leave his mistakes there. As a parent, I am disgusted by his logic because I don't care what you did wrong in your past. If you have a child, you are that child's parent. That is effed up. I'm sorry. Then that makes me dislike Harry a lot. If you willingly are ignoring your mistake, then how are you a good person? So yeah, that's messed up. Crisis is honestly Flashpoint rebooted. Yep. I like being confused and asking questions. It makes shows more interesting and less predictable. I like shows that are less predictable. I don't like shows that become a cluster thing because when you put too much crap in one pile, it's too hard to unravel. If they did this in the MCU, which, I don't play favorites between DC and Marvel. I like both universes, especially in the comics, but say they did this with the Avengers and they did this with Thor and they did this with Captain America. Like all of this stuff was not connected. And then they connected all these Earths, but then all the stories that you knew and all the canon stuff you knew was thrown out the window and things just were thrown in a way that by the time they got to Endgame, it made like no lick of sense. And then Endgame happened and everybody was snapped back. And then they did a whole other cluster crap. It would drive you absolutely crazy. So it's a thing. It is a thing. Ryan, you have to go. That's fine. We're about to end the stream too because we're almost at 2 hours. A couple of more questions. In my opinion, Rain should have been the season 2 villain along with the 3 other world killers, and Kara fights the 5th world killer, who is a dark version of Supergirl, who is the strongest world killer of their all. That would be very cool. I would love that. That would be cool. And yeah, I know you're in the UK. I understand. No, if Kara arrived at the same time as Clark, she would have been in her 50s, around the same age as Cat Grant. Yeah, that's true because she was stuck in the Phantom Zone a very long time ago. But like I said, with how they're aging Lois and Clark versus the age of their children, like I almost feel like they're the same age they were in Crisis, but yet now they have teenage kids. I just want to know. I just really want to know their age right now. It's driving me nuts. Are they in their 40s? Are they in their late 30s? Or are they in their early 30s? Did they have kids when they were like 25? Like, what happened? I am just curious. I'm very, very curious on this. They meant the most recent flashback episode, the Midvale two-parter where Moonlight heals her. Gotcha. I gotcha. But yeah, overall, back to the episode itself. Very, very, very good episode. I'm just in my feelings about her giving birth on Earth to those two kids, powers or not. Honestly, her having sex with Superman has always been a question mark in my head. And then also, why don't you call Kara? She's your family. And she is uber strong. And she knows how to get to Smallville. And she knows how to beat her cousin's butt. And Morgan Edge would go down very quickly. Like hell, Martian Manhunter could literally just sit there and let Morgan phase through his body. Just la la la, pap in the head, blah, 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 get in his head, blah, 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 send him back to the Phantom. They could take Morgan and throw him into the Phantom Zone with Leslie. I'm completely okay with that. Completely okay with that. But I digress, guys. I mean, it's a thing. It really is a thing. So, yeah. Be on the lookout for Loki, guys. If I post it as a video, you will see it tonight. If I do it as a collaboration, you will see it tomorrow. Unless we were supposed to do a collaboration and it doesn't go through, then I'll just post a video in the morning. Either way, you're getting a video. So Loki is coming. Loki was fun and interesting, and I have some funny uncracked things to say about this last episode, so I will be talking about it. Again, sorry, I'm kind of sick because like I feel my voice like going out. I'm just not feeling that great, and that's why it's kind of dark. I don't have my lights on because it's giving me a massive headache. But I really want you guys to continue this conversation. Let me know what you think. Like, what do you think is going to happen in the next episode? I know we got a minute. I know it's not going to be coming up next week, but what do you think is going to happen in the next episode of Superman and Lois? So leave that in the comments. Also, what do you think is going to happen in Legends and The Flash? Because we're getting Godspeed, so at least we have that. That is something I've actually wanted to see. So that's going to be an interesting episode, and I'm really curious to see how Ava especially is going to deal with the fact that her Lady Love is now a clone too. So that is going to be something to discuss. So leave those comments below and we can talk about it. And once again, we are also going to have our, hopefully, I got to see if Kung Fu is airing tonight. I think it is. If it does, then I'll try and do my stream tomorrow afternoon. If not, it'll be tomorrow evening. So we will have that kind of catch up on Kung Fu since it hasn't aired for the past 2 weeks. I believe it's been 2 weeks. So we'll have the Kung Fu stream. And then we'll have our Charm stream. If it's airing this Friday, which I think it is, I'll have to check the schedule again because some people told me it's not airing in their area, but sometimes I get it. So I'm confused on, I don't know if it's because I have Xfinity. I don't know what's happening, but if we are getting Charm this Friday, we will definitely have our Charm stream and I will set that up as well. And then of course we'll have the Owl House. And then I have some more videos I really need to finish, and I definitely need to finish my Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 2 live read because it's still really, really funny. We're just waiting on one redo line, and once I get that, I should be able to upload it for all of you to enjoy the on-crackness that is us doing a Crisis parody, which honestly, my parody has a lot of truth to it. So, yeah, be on the lookout, guys. So if it is evening for you, have a good evening. If it is day for you, have a good rest of your day. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next stream and in the next video. Bye-bye.